and even who calls you uncle. But since your label reads Uncle Bob, that's what I call you. Amos Magezi is my name. I apologize, my light is not all that big enough, but if you can see me, then it's okay. But I'm married to Lay Canon Jean Nyonyoz Magezi, who is now the president of Mothers Union of the Diocese of Northwestern Ankole. And she's also coordinates the Western Uganda region, 15 dioceses. And so we have been married we've been married for now 34 years. We have 3 children, of course, with grandchildren. And we want to thank God for the service the Lord is enabling us to do in Uganda. In fact, this year in October, 1st October, we'll celebrate our 8th anniversary as the first bishop of the Diocese of Northwestern Ankole. So I'm glad to be part of this, and I look forward to learning a lot from the experts as far as the topic we have tonight is concerned. God bless you all.
Thank you, Bishop. And surely you posed the question to me. Before the close of the evening, shall I take also where this Uncle Bob comes from? Thank you very much. I seem not to I think Mrs. Joanna Sim, are you able now to speak?
Yes, now I'm able to speak.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Kindly. Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. And if possible, you can switch on your video as well as you give your introduction.
All right. I think you can see me now.
Yes, very well.
As Uncle Bob has said, I'm called Joan Asim Mwembezi. I'm married to Dr. William Mwembezi. I've been married for the last 32 years. So I'm still young, according to the other panelists. And I have 5 children. I'm a teacher by profession. And I'm honored to be part of this fellowship, the Men's Fellowship.
And it's really an honor to have you, Mrs. Joan Asimwe. And I'm just half of your years that you have spent there. So on the panel today, I'm happy to be mixed, to be seated with the real experience in that institution. So members, like I said today, our topic is the real needs that men should meet in women's lives. Are there real needs and non-real needs? We are yet to know. And before Mrs. Asimwe, before you settle back after the introduction, kind of open to us this discussion. Talking about the real needs of women, how would you categorize the real needs in any woman's life from a marriage standpoint of view? And what are some of these needs? First of all, give us the categorization, and then we see, do we understand this categorization of real needs of women? Do men really understand them? Men on the platform today, today who are listening in would really want to understand this.
Thank you very much, Uncle Bob. Now, when we talk about needs of a woman, and we are talking about marriage, we are talking about life. These are very practical things. These are marriage is a practical, it is life, it is what we live. So you cannot categorize, you cannot distinguish, you cannot put them in groups, because life overlaps. That is one thing we should understand. Now, the needs of women are determined by a number of things. Like I said, this being life, there are different kinds of women. Every woman is unique. You cannot say the needs of me, what I need from my husband is what another woman needs. They are different, and these differences are due to their values. They are also due to their cultural background, their education, the different societies we live in, and even the specific dynamics of the marriage, because marriages are not the same. But there are general needs. There are needs which we shall call general, which every woman needs from a man. Now, a need is something that is necessary for every human being to live, to thrive, to survive, to function very well, and even to thrive as a woman, as a human being. Now, the needs of a woman, these are the needs that the woman expects from the husband. Now, before I continue and look at the different categories of the needs, I need to tell the men that the first need that a woman has is that a man should be, she needs the man to be the man she married. Because quite often, those who have had the opportunity to date, they date men and they have a lot of expectations and they have dreams. They dream together, but the moment they are married, the man becomes something else. What you thought would happen, it doesn't happen. Now that begins another phase of the marriage. But generally speaking, there are general needs that the man should meet for his wife and for the marriage to function properly. Now, the first category or the first need that a woman needs from a man is affection. This can be love. The woman needs that constant reassurance and that emotional connection. She needs to know that the man she married loves her. Now, our men being, most of us here, I hope, are Africans. The African man doesn't go around telling the wife that he loves her. It is up to you, the wife, to infer or to imagine that your husband loves you. But the woman needs that from your actions, from the way you talk to her, from the way you behave. The woman needs to know that you are there for her, you love her. And now that emotional connection helps the woman to thrive, as we said. If you want your marriage to succeed, that is a very important need that the woman craves. Every woman that knows that she's loved, even if you come back home in the evening without a kavera, there is no problem. As long as I know you love me, then everything else will happen. We shall pray about it and it will happen. Now, I don't want to go into quoting the Bible so much because I have the generals here. But in Ephesians chapter 5,
Mrs. Asime, before
yes,
sorry for interrupting you. You talked about a very sensitive matter about the African man and the need for affection of any woman. But we also know that a runner, you have seen athletes who are running really, they pass on baton from one teammate to another. If the baton is broken right from the word go, they are all going to pass on a broken baton until the end. How does this African man today show affection if it has not been given to him right from the word go? Is there a possibility that these are things that can be learned easily and be passed on and be shared with the woman of his life?
Yes, that is how does this man show affection? Because our men have grown up believing that showing affection is not manly. And sometimes in the earlier years, it was not even godly. How do you go about showing that you love your wife? In our culture, they would say the woman bewitched you. But the man needs to know that this is food for the woman's soul. She needs to know that she's loved. Now, how does the man show that he loves his wife? That is the question. Now, the man needs to be, as I said at the beginning, he needs to be the man that this woman married. I talked about people who have dated. Some of us married without dating. For those of us who are in many years in marriage, you would see someone, is even in some cultures, they tell you you're going to marry so and so. If you're lucky, you have seen before, if you're not. But this love, the modern man, because the question talked about the modern man needs to be a friend of his wife. Now, a friend, in the modern world, you cannot be a friend of your wife without doing for her the smallest things that you can do in life. You don't have to do a lot of, to do big things. Showing her love through things such as a hug, maybe touch. I don't know how else, maybe the men will help me here. But the woman needs to feel romantically attached, connected to the husband. She needs to know that the man loves her. And there are several things that I will request the men to help me with, how they can show their women that they love them. You don't have to announce, you don't have to make a billboard, but your woman needs to know that she's loved.
Okay, Mrs. Joan Simwe, that is very wonderful. I think you've made it clear to this point in time. Allow me cut you a bit short and call in 40 years of experience here. And I'll turn to none other than Reverend Professor Senyonyi. You've had Mrs. Joan's submission and about these things. With her submission very clear to us, how do we draw a line between real needs and wants? Because sometimes these things are interchanged. We take wants to be needs and needs to be wants, and we get confused, especially for the young men.
Let me begin, first of all, by thanking her for what she has submitted, because I think it is so true. Affection is top on the list in terms of a woman's needs. And I think she has elaborated it well. Now, she said that we need to help her. So before I come to your question, just to say that I think she knows better, but anyway, she has referred it to us. But when she said little things that you do, I think that's a very important thing for all of us to take in mind. The little things, many times as men, we think when I bring a big dress or when I buy a car or when I build a house or whatever, yeah, those are needed at some point, but you may bring those things to a woman who is wounded, and that may not be of any help at all. But let me say there are little things, like she was saying, like touching, like appreciating what she looks like. We must not choke on the words, I love you. I say that to my wife, and there is no problem with that. She has never told me stop saying that to me. In fact, she loves it. So those little things. But now coming to your question, I think the problem that we often have as African men is cultural. But we forget that in as much as we live in a culture, the way God created us, there are certain needs in us that transcend culture. And one of those is the one, of course, that my sister, Mrs. Jonah Simwe, has just mentioned. But when we talk about those that transcend, they are those things that you must have. You must have to thrive, to flourish, to enjoy your marriage. And that's why she's saying affection. That when a woman is appreciated, when she knows she's loved, when she knows that you still treat her like that girlfriend who ran you mad, right? When you know that, when she knows that, then she can thrive. Now, those are things, irrespective of whether the woman is African or the woman is European, Chinese, whatever they may be. those are things that they are going to need because they are must-haves for them to be able to thrive. Now, what about the wants? The wants are merely what you prefer to do. There are some things that you prefer to have, like the category that I was talking about, that I may prefer to have a particular dress, but the dress, I will bring it. Of course, you'll be happy about it. So it doesn't mean that what is preferred is unnecessary. It just means that if I have it, I will be happy. If I don't have it, life will go on. Okay? It's merely preferred. If you buy a car for me, that's what will happen. So, and we need to understand that all needs are preferred, but not all that we want or that we prefer is actually a need. Okay? So let's read this carefully. That when I need something, it's like you need food. And so when there's food before you that's likable, you will prefer to have it rather than to go hungry, unless you're fasting, of course. But you may prefer to eat pork, to eat fish, to eat chicken, but then you're provided with beans. Now, you need to eat the beans. And it does not mean that if the pork or the fish or whatever is not there, your life is not going to thrive. So really, those are the differences. So what we are talking about here, is that needs are must-haves. That every woman will want affection. Every woman would want an intimate connection, to be able to talk. Now, research tells us that actually women speak 3 times as many words in a day as the men. I hope I'm not already beating them in speaking. But the point here is that they speak because that's how they process things. While for us, we tend to process things here. So if you're processing things here, can you join her in conversation? Give her some time to just chat and listen. And don't become disinterested, but show her that you are really interested. I hope now it is clear. I mean, I could say more, but let me stop at that point, Uncle Bob. So over to you.
Thank you very much, Professor. That is very clear, and I'm sure members are listening. BUs and SUs on the call, please, people pay millions of money to get this kind of knowledge, not to say that the married are safe, no, but please listen in attentively and let's be ready to ask any questions as we move on. I thank you, Right Reverend Magezi. On one of your submissions here on the Online Church of Uganda, and I think it was during the Family Life Hour, you made a very important statement where you said, and you are speaking about people preparing for marriage. I said people are majoring in minors and minoring in majors. It rang a lot of sense into my mind. And looking at this topic, we are talking about real needs of women. And considering that does not stop at preparation for marriage, but even people, when they go into marriage and they are moving on in their relationship, find some people majoring in minors and minoring in majors. What are some of those common misconceptions men might have about women's needs? And how can a modern man better understand what a woman needs?
Thank you very much, Uncle Bob, for that question. I appreciate the topic itself, real needs. And I appreciate Joanne, how she tackled it and the answers she presented. Although you interrupted her, it seems she had more to bring to our attention as men so that we are able to understand. By the way, Joan, I'm glad that we could be on the same panel, because I remember we were in the same group of home builders in Imbarara. And so please remember that we were able to support each other in the journey of marriage when we were together in Imbarara in that group of home builders. Now, Uncle Bob, according to your question, the modern man, the cultural norms, the societal challenges, and in preparing for marriage, and even after the two have come together, I would like to mention here that when women were empowered, remember Joan talked about an African man. When women have been empowered or were empowered because of education, you remember in the past, women could not be given chance to go to school and study to any higher level of education. They missed out that women have different ingredients in them, and they are able to come out when they go to school, being innovative, being creative. All those come out, all those things come out when they go to school and receive good education. And so I would like us to know that women emancipation, the support for women, women being given positions, it supports them, it helps them to thrive, it helps them to excel because of their nature, being creative and innovative. So when they are like that, men tend to be threatened. In fact, the reason we have domestic violence now, it's because of the imbalance that is in the society. Because when women have been empowered, now men got threatened. And so instead of appreciating their wives being innovative, being creative, they are now threatened. They are like, hey, no more authority in their family, no more control of finances, no more control of property that we have at home. They forget that even women can bring bread on table. They forget that they are able to work and even have money on the bank account and support even the children to go to school. So I would like us to know that the real needs of women, because they are women, that need that has been raised of affection and love, that need must be met regardless of level of education, regardless of the level of wealth in the family, regardless of the status. The wife might be the Speaker of Parliament. The wife might be the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda. The wife might be the chairman of AIDS Commission, like Canon Dr. Ruth Senyui. But at the same time, that should not stop Canon Dr. Senyui to love her, to show affection to her. Like my wife is the president of Mothers Union. She's the president of Mothers Union in Western Uganda region. She's in charge of 15 dioceses. And so she has to make trips and go to support her fellow presidents of Mothers Union. But that does not stop me from meeting her real needs. So the society, much as it has grown, much as it has developed, much as it has brought a lot on table, still men should continue to play their role of making sure that they should support their wives. Let me be honest with you. Unless you understand that, then you will not know that you will not know that you should be a man. You remember, Joan said, continue to be the man the woman got married to. And so, whatever situation happens, even if I'm the bishop, even if someone is the archbishop, even if someone is the vice chancellor of the university, that should not stop him from being a husband. And also, just as I said, that the wife or the woman, much as she is the president of the republic of whichever country, that should not stop her from being a woman. So I encourage us to know that the real needs should remain real needs, and we understand them, and then we meet them. That's when we will maintain the relationship as far as the building of marriage is concerned. Thank you, Uncle Bob.
Thank you very much, Bishop. What I hear you say is that men ought to draw a line between their responsibilities as husbands and real providers and the line of their office assignments and bearing and titles. That should not come in their way of being real men and providing for their wives. Is that what I hear you say?
That's correct.
Thank you. Turning to Mrs. Asimwe, Bishop has talked about that because of empowerment, men are feeling threatened. How can, is there a possibility, or can a woman actually, an empowered woman, they feel the fears of their husband, who thinks now that because Madame so-and-so is empowered, I'm finished. I don't think I will, I'm still a man enough. How can an empowered woman diffuse the fears of a husband?
Thank you very much, Uncle Bob. I want to thank Reverend Canon Dr. Senyonyi and Right Reverend Magezi for their input. Them being men and with that kind of experience, I think we have gained a lot from their submission. Now, Uncle Bob, I had a number of needs I still wanted to put across, but this is why we have these kinds of.
Go ahead.
This is why you have such topics to discuss. Because today, as the bishop said, men are threatened, but they don't have to be. Now, one of the problems why men are threatened and why they find themselves in that position is because they fail to understand that there is a difference between their marriage and the jobs or the what their women are doing. I, like the Right Reverend said, I could be the vice president of the country, but I still need to be loved as a wife. That does not stop me from being a wife. Now, these women, and especially these women who are in the limelight, women who have studied, women who are educated, who are in big jobs. They may not even be big jobs, but who are doing something for themselves. They need a lot of support from their husbands. And this is where the men sometimes fail, because they feel threatened instead of supporting their wives. And yet, if they supported them, they would have a wonderful marriage. Now, one thing we need to do, like I said at the beginning, marriage is very practical. Through these fellowships, we need to tell our children, or those who are getting married, that marriage does not stop at the day you wed. I normally tell young people going into marriage that while the boy is looking at getting a wife at home, you know, when these boys are going to get married, they want somebody to be at home. And the wife or the girl is looking at the wedding, how many dresses I have, you know, the maids, the flowers, the cake, and they don't realize that marriage goes beyond that day. Now, the man, for the man, it is a project, and we know that a project has a timeline. So he'll have his project. He wants to get married. On the day he weds, the project is done and he gives a accountability. No, the wedding is done. I have married, but the woman now starts looking around because if she's a woman who had thought of life beyond the wedding, the expectations she has, she needs this man to be with her so that they can have this marriage together. You realize that there are people who are in marriages alone. They are married, but they are alone in that marriage. So Uncle Bob, I request that I run through the needs, then we can discuss all of them at the same time because they overlap. They are not distinct that one is independent of the other.
Okay, 3 minutes you can run through them. Thank you.
So another need I want to talk about is which is we have heard a lot about open communication, honesty, and trust. The woman needs to know that she trusts the husband. Trust, open communication, and the husband needs to be honest. Another need that the woman has, she needs to know that this man she married is a partner. She's not some head of the, when they call them head of the family, he comes as a chairman, LC5, and he sits on his table, he's the chairman. So it needs to be a partner so that they can have teamwork. And this helps in communication. This is why I said they overlap, they are not distinct. The woman needs to be respected and appreciated. There are men who have never thanked their women for whatever they do. You find that you have been married for 10 years, you have never heard your husband say thank you. And then another need these women have is that the husband needs to be a provider. Now we have talked of the women who have made it, who are making it, who are doing something for themselves. Actually, they are not doing it for themselves, they are doing it for their families. Most women, when they make money, whatever they do, they always think of their families first. But the man has to be a provider. And don't wait for the woman to ask. You know that she's the vice president, therefore why should I give her money? Why should I buy her something? You need to be a provider because I had already promised that I will not quote the Bible, but in 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 8, the men are told to be providers of their families. So the women need to be provided for so that we know that you are the head of the family and you know their needs, and you cannot provide unless you know their needs. So you need to find out what do they need. You need to know their needs. You need to know their weaknesses so that you come in as a man. And then the final one, I didn't number them, but the other one, which is very important, is that the woman needs to be sexually satisfied. This is something that we need to emphasize because it doesn't mean that once you are married, then you are done. And unless you want a child, you'll be there looking at each other. A story is told of the girl who went to the father-in-law and when they were talking about their marriage, she told them that at home I had food, I had a bed, I had everything I needed. So I did not come here to cook and dig and grow tomatoes for you. There is a reason why I came from my home and I came here. So the woman needs to be sexually satisfied, and that means that if you have a satisfied woman, if you have a loved woman, if you provide for her, she's your partner and you are doing things as a team, you communicate openly, you are honest with her, you'll have a wonderful marriage. So I have summarized them, and I hope through our discussion we shall be adding more. But that is what I had on the needs of the woman.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mrs. Timwe. And just before you settle, I had earlier posed a question. Now that we know these needs, from affection to open communication, to partnership, respect and appreciation, provide and sexual satisfaction, how does an empowered woman help to diffuse the fears of a husband who feels threatened because of this empowerment?
Now, when it is when it is the woman, sometimes these things get to our heads. When I know that I have a job and sometimes I have my business, I'm making more money than the man, or I'm able to meet my needs, my wants, then sometimes the women tend to think that the man is not important. And that is a problem. That is a mistake. The women need to know that at whatever level you are, whether you are a big business person, you are an industry owner, you are making a lot of money, you have your projects, you are doing a lot of things, you need to know that this is God's plan. You cannot be alone unless you now decide that you are not going to get married. But the moment you decide that you're going to get married, you should know that there is a reason why God said a man shall not live alone. Now we need the men, even if the husband is at home and is not doing anything, even if you make more money than him, even if you're more important than him in government or in business or in whatever you're doing, you need this husband because you need someone who is your own. You need a safe space where you can be vulnerable. Because out there are a lot of things. We meet a lot of things, and you cannot go, there are things you cannot tell your children, there are things you cannot tell your friends. You need someone who will listen. You need someone who will comfort you. You need someone who will be your partner, someone who will plan with you, someone who will, and this is, God decided that this man is the suitable partner for you. So at whatever level you are, the women need to know that they need their husbands. He may not bring money, he may not be a vice president like you, but still you need him because you need this emotional support and his unconditional love and support in whatever you're doing. You cannot stand alone as a human being. If you choose to do that, then this is why you see that even women who claim that for them they don't want to get married, they cannot stay alone. They reach a certain point and you find that they are looking for men because it is hard. It is hard not to have a man or a woman in your life. So I think the women should be reminded that much as they are making it in life, they are doing a lot of big things. They are, they have studied, they have done this, they have done that. They still need the men. And the men should be there to be needed because if you start getting fearing that because now your wife is the vice president, you as a husband, you need to take your place. You need to claim your place. You need to be the leader so that this woman can know that you are there for her. Over to you, Uncle Bob.
Thank you very much. And you very clearly made it. And women on the call, you've heard for yourselves, and men on the call, you've also heard. This is an open discussion. Please feel free to put your views in the chat. And it is very clear that a woman also needs to claim her place of being the wife she is, and also know that much as these things have come in, the titles have come in, she's still a what? A wife. Coming back to you, Canon, Professor Senyonyi, we've had the threats that come about because people are empowered. But at the same time, this empowerment has brought so many things in our lives. We've heard of the woman emancipation, feminists have come in, but at the same time, through the different needs that Mrs. Joan shared with us, for example, how do you show affection? A true African woman, there are things she would shy away from receiving from the husband. Would we say that this Am I being heard? Hello?
Yes, you can.
Yes, now you're back on.
Hello? Yeah. Sorry, someone interrupted my connection with the call. Yeah. So I was asking, has this woman empowerment presented the present day man with a better opportunity to meet her needs? The fact that she's exposed and knows what affection is, knows what partnership is, knows what open communication is about, and they can open discuss about them. Is it a better opportunity for the man, or the reverse is true? To you, Mr. To you, Professor.
One of the interesting things, and today, by the way, I was just speaking to the clergy at the clergy conference. There are 2,600 clergy that are gathered there, and I was speaking to them about the shepherd and the family, a related topic, of course. But one of the things that I say to them, which I want to bring up here, which is quite fascinating, is to realize that when you read Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 to 27, you see that God created the woman and the man. In other words, he created marriage before he created work. Work comes in verse 28. That's when God now gives them the mandate to have dominion in the world and do whatever needs to be done. But actually, it is first of all marriage. One of the mistakes I think that has come with this women emancipation thing, and really this happens with anything, even if something is intended for good, we have to be careful as believers to understand sometimes it may be hijacked. I mean, John was talking about a woman's sexual satisfaction. But isn't it also true that the devil has used it to destroy many? So something may be good, but will be destroyed. And I think as Christians, we have to be very careful not to have the world view of the world concerning women and what it is. So this women emancipation thing, I think to me, feminism, whatever, needs to be thought about carefully as believers, not to reject it wholesale, but to reject those aspects that have been stolen into it. Take, for example, the LGBT. It has actually been tagged on the women emancipation. So are we then going to take that in? Or another example that maybe many of us don't seem to realize is that women have tended to be reduced to their functionality in society. In other words, holding a big job now has become the big thing. And I think my fellow presenters have already noted that it does not matter what position, what function you're doing in the society. Remember, you are a woman, and the husband needs to remember he's a man, and a husband who should love the wife irrespective of the position she holds. You don't love the wife because of the position. And so I'm throwing in a little bit of caution there. But the second thing that I would want to bring out is that all this, it will work for you if it is put in the context of a healthy relationship. In other words, if a woman is holding a very high position, if your relationship is already sick, then I'm sorry, the position that she holds will become a problem to the relationship. But if your relationship is good, then I would see no problem at all what position she holds. You all know that my wife is the chairperson of Uganda AIDS Commission. But what you may not also know is that during our time of working the regular jobs, there are times I earned more than her, there are times she earned more than me. Did that make her any bigger than me? No. Did it make me any smaller when she earned more? No. I still loved her and I cared for her. And for me, the issue there is because our relationship was healthy. And because our relationship was healthy, and let me bring out particularly one thing that all of you listening in, if you're married, I'm sure you did vow it. You did say that all that I have, I share with you. And all that I am, I give to you. So what is it that she has that is not mine? What is it that I have that is not hers? Nothing. So for me, it is that context of a healthy relationship that is most important, which will enable the woman to rise as high as she wants. I had a PhD before she got a PhD. As a matter of fact, I was very intent that she also gets a PhD. First of all, a master's, then a PhD. Because I had the PhD when she had one degree. And I supported her throughout her studies. Was I thinking she would become bigger than me? No. Why? Because our relationship was healthy. So I want to put it in that context. If you understand that you should work on the relationship like the needs of the woman, we are not talking about the men's needs, but they are also there. But the needs of the woman are met and the needs of the man are met. And you're moving together in a healthy way, then whatever positions you hold, those positions are yours together because you're one person. So that's what I would say. I think for many cases, and yes, we have seen some Christians where the wife, becomes much more educated or holds a bigger position and so on, and then all of a sudden, the man has become nothing. Let's not blame the degree. Let's blame the relationship that they've had. Has he been meeting her needs? And I'm sorry, I must steal in this one. Has she been meeting his needs? Have they indeed worked together as one person? Or is it that one person is rising and is looking down at the other one and saying, hey, you are still down there, And then their mentality, their worldview buys into the world and they think, I am a woman. And when they listen to all the things that are said, then in the world, they just gulp them in. And of course, they kill their marriages. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Canon. Is it a healthy relationship? Ladies and gentlemen on the call, ask yourself that question. And if the answer is yes, stamp your chest. If the answer is no, then you have some homework to do. Right, Reverend Magezi, we've been talking about women emancipation, women being empowered, men getting threatened, but it has been made clear that we need to, first of all, ask the question of, is it a healthy relationship, even before the empowerment and anything else comes in? Tell us, before we even talk about the empowerment, how do societal and cultural norms affect men's understanding of women's needs? Because earlier we had, during when Mrs. Asimo was sharing on the needs, she talked about the African woman, the African man, and in some societies, it's believed an African man should not be affectionate. In some cases, you find that the African man is expected to be doing ABCD, which are actually real needs of a woman. But how far do these societal and cultural norms go in affecting a man's understanding of the real needs of a woman?
Okay, Uncle Bob, I think we already addressed this, and in fact, all three, we've tried to address it. So probably to add on, men think that when people are equal, then they can no longer have authority in the family. and therefore that hinders them from meeting the needs that have been listed by Joanne. In fact, sometimes men may think because the woman has money in her pocket or her purse, therefore she will not need any flour or any apple to be brought home or any. Just know that when we talk about emotional needs of women, those must be met regardless of whatever situation you are in. So the societal norms, the cultural norms, all those, even if they would bring up challenges, that should not stop a man from being a man, full stop. Because the emotional needs of a woman will remain there and will have to be met. All these needs which Joan listed, love and affection, money has nothing to do with that. It's a husband who has to do that. Open communication, although I would want to be a two-way. You also have to mention your intentions. I would like to know how you're feeling so that I also can relate to what you're trying to tell me. So there should be two-way open communication. That shouldn't be stopped by the cultural norms or the societal norms. Trust must be there. Provision must be there. Honesty must be there. Teamwork must be there. Respect must be there. Appreciation. When she was talking about appreciation, I remembered at home, I would even forget to say thank you to my wife for a good meal. And whenever she would want to tackle me, even to remind me that I didn't appreciate her good work of preparing a meal, she would ask me, does it mean that food was not good, was not enjoyable? How come you have not appreciated? Now, as a man, an African man, going back to that issue of an African man, as an African man, I don't want to show that that I've even forgotten to appreciate. So I would say, and I keep giving this as a testimony when I'm addressing men, that they should appreciate their husband, I mean their wives. I keep telling, sometimes I would tell her, well, men appreciate from the heart. Even if I don't mention it, just know that if I ate and enjoyed the food and finished it even on the plate, then just know that I appreciated. That is a lame excuse. That is an African way of responding, but it is sin. And in fact, that's where I wanted us to go. As Dr. Senyon was saying, we must know that sin disturbed the whole situation, the openness, the real love, the genuineness, all that should be there. But because of the fall of man, we have failed. Man cannot do what he's supposed to do, and those are sins of omission. But also man does what he's not supposed to do. Those are sins of commission. So we need to admit that we are sinners, and that's why we need to have these kind of sessions, so that when these things are brought to our attention and we realize our failures, then we confess our sins. We repent of our sins and even go back to our spouses and put things right, because we are sinners. And that's why now Christianity brings in a difference, because if you're a believer and you know you have fallen into sin, then you admit that you're a sinner, and then you confess your sin, and then the Spirit of God cleanses you or washes you, and then you are able to keep moving, just as the wipers of the car keep removing water from the windshield, and then the driver is able to keep moving. So the relationship keeps being tinted by our sinful nature. We fail to do what we are supposed to do. We do what we are not supposed to do, and therefore nothing is good in us. But if we admit and confess, then the Spirit of God shows us what we need to do, and then we keep moving in our journey of marriage. So I want to say that it's a two-way relationship. Her needs should be met, but also my needs should be met, so that that mutual relationship will keep us going, because we all have emotional needs in one way or the other. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my Lord Bishop. Just before you go away, someone raised a very important question in the chat, and which is bordering what your submission. You mentioned times you would forget to thank your wife for the meal well prepared. And how do you tackle situations of women who do not know how to respond to affection? Thank you very much for the food. Day we have had. How do you help such?
Well, my quick response to that is taking them or taking women to the Proverbs chapter 31, beginning from verse 10, talking about or elaborating or explaining about the woman of noble character. I always draw out 4 things, but the first one is bringing good to her husband, not bringing bad, or doing good to her husband, like this, the theme we have this year, imitating God's goodness by doing good. We need to know that our wives should do good to their husbands. And one of them is what even Joan ended with, sexual satisfaction. And so if I work hard and satisfy you sexually, the question is, how do you respond? Do you also appreciate that I have also worked hard? But also, it does not stop at sexual satisfaction. Even meeting needs at home. The question is, do you show humility and respect to me? Do you value that I try hard to do what I'm supposed to do, so that I am encouraged to do what I'm supposed to do or continue doing it? And then I talked about open communication. If I say, if I am supposed to be open to you, are you also open to me? When we are having sex, can you be open enough to tell me that you've not even reached where you're supposed to reach? Or I have not done what I'm supposed to have done, something like that. Or if you're enjoying, can you encourage me? Can you tell me that you're enjoying it so that I continue? So you also have to play that role to make sure that I do what I'm supposed to do. So that's why I'm saying that a woman of noble character, it does good to her husband, she's hardworking, she's hospitable, or she's caring, but also the last one is fearing God. Some women, they want to think about other things other than thinking about their relationship with God. I know on the side of women, that's much better than men, because many men don't care about God. Women go a better extra mile in seeking God, even in interceding for the families. But some women, you may find that they care about the worldly things other than think about their spiritual lives and spiritual things. So we need to bear that in mind. A woman of noble character and what she's supposed to do, that will encourage her husband to continue doing what she's supposed to do in trying to meet her needs. Thank you, Uncle Bob.
Thank you very much, Bishop. Very clear. Herbert Mugumia has made an observation in the chat that needs keep evolving, keep changing with environment, situation, circumstances. My wife's needs 10 years ago may have changed today with changing status and so many things. So men need to keep checking the shifting goals so that they can try to adjust to the same goals. I think this was still very sweet, but time is rushing very fast. I'm going for parting shot. And immediately after parting shot, I will invite someone to give a vote of thanks. And when you have a mathematician called John on the panel, you ought to have a mathematician called John to give a vote of thanks. So I'll request Professor John Chitayimbwa to come in after the parting shot with a vote of thanks. Starting with Mrs. Joanne, what are your parting shots on this discussion?
Thank you very much, Uncle Bob. I wanted to briefly respond to the woman emancipation thing. I think the promoters of that women emancipation, they came out very strongly and with a lot of anger, with a lot of energy. Now that has been a silent war that has been brewing between men and women. And this has affected the way we relate. But if we go back to what we have discussed, the marriage needs to start as a friendship. It needs to start with a strong foundation so that in the future, when things have changed or when the woman has studied or when she has become a vice president or whatever, it will not affect the marriage. And I want to thank my fellow panelists. And Uncle Bob, I think you should have given me a title, maybe honorable member of Fathers Union or something, because I had Reverend Canon, Dr. Professor, and Right Reverend. But I would like to request that as a parting shot, I would like to request that we have more of these discussions, because the people who are getting married now, they are the future of the church, they are our children, they are the future. So we need to keep talking about these things. Like they talked about the women emancipation thing, and women thought that you have to be more powerful than the man, you have to be, I think it was misinterpreted, it was misconceived. We should have been trying to make the woman come out of what she was before she was recognized as a woman. And being a woman does not mean that, what the message should have been that you can be at the same level as the man, you can be partners. You don't have to be a subordinate. But the way that it was presented, it has created a kind of simmering war that is an open secret, which is wrong. And therefore, we need to keep talking to our children. We need to keep talking to the young people so that they understand that despite the differences, despite the education, despite the jobs, despite a marriage is a marriage. Whether you are educated, whether you have the money, whether you don't have the money, you are still friends and you can still make the marriage work. It should not depend on what you have achieved and what you have become. Thank you very much. Uncle Bob, over to you.
Thank you, Honorable Joan. By the power vested in me, I bestow upon you the title of a honorable. Thank you very much. Over to you, Canon Professor John.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm saying three things but I think two are related. The first one is a very interesting verse in 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7, which talks to husbands that husbands live with your wives in an understanding way. Now, the word in an understanding way, the statement there actually does not mean so much an act as it is a learning process. In other words, what Peter is actually encouraging us is to say that as a husband, you are a full-time and permanent student of your wife. So you need to always be learning your wife. Now, one of the problems, and that's why I say they're related, is there is a story that I read of a man who bought a radio. And so he tuned the radio to his favorite radio station. And then he took off the knob and threw it away. And I think some of us men tend to do that. It's like we bought a wife on the day we married her, and now we take off the knob and we leave everything in auto and we think it will work. And what Peter is saying to us and what I'm saying to all of us, let us continue to be learning. There's a lot more to learn. God made all of us very complex, including your wife. Sometimes I've told people I never got to know my wife. And I'm not talking about, the way the Bible uses the word no. No. I'm talking about the knowledge, the experience of living with her. I never got to know her until we married. And I have to admit that even up to now, I'm a student of my wife. And that's what it should be. So the needs are not necessarily different. She still needs affection, but it is how I am going to show her affection. So let's make a difference between those two. The last thing then that I want to say is for us to understand that I am different from my wife. I am very different from my wife. And all of us actually married those wives because we are different from them. The problem is after we marry them, then we start thinking, oh, she must be feeling or she must be responding to the same things that show love or we think they're the same needs that I have. And so you want to live with your wife in the same way that you would want her or you would want yourself to be treated. And so it still relates to the other one, but the point I'm making, let us understand we are different and therefore learn the needs of the wife, which are different in many ways. Sometimes they're just different in measure, but in terms of priority, they are different. For example, the woman, the wife, for her, and I thank Mrs. Joanna Simwe for bringing it out. The very first thing that she wants is affection. Ask any man who is marrying if they are honest. They will tell you they want sex. They want sexual delight. So we are different. So he's putting his priority on sex. She's putting her priority on affection. Possibly, even if the sex is not there, as long as affection is there. But if it comes, it must come because there is affection. And so let's understand that difference. We are not the same. Therefore, learn the other person and also be able to treat her according to what she needs rather than according to what I feel I need. Thank you very much, Uncle Bob. God bless you.
God bless you too. Thank you very much, Canon Professor. And now I turn to Right Reverend Magezi, your parting shot.
Thank you very much, Uncle Bob, for guiding us and for leading us. I appreciate what Herbert Mugumya commented on and raised, that people keep changing or things keep changing, so we need to keep watching. What came into my mind when he mentioned that was when you are getting married and you are young, life is different from the time when your wife is experiencing menopause. You would easily know that things are no longer the same the way they were in the past. So we need to be aware of that. When you are 20, when you're in your 20s, you will not behave like when you'll be in the 70s. So be aware of that so that you know how to meet each other's needs. But having said that, I would like to add two more things. One, trusting God, the one who instituted marriage. Marriage as an institution does not belong to man. Man is a recipient, but it started in the mind of God. And so we need to keep going back to God to ask for guidance, especially in His Word. which we should value and treasure and adhere to, so that it guides us on how we should go for the institution of marriage. Also bearing in mind that Psalm 127 verse 1 says, unless the Lord builds the house, the laborers do their job in vain. So we need to be aware that God is the chief builder, and so we cannot take him for granted. We should trust him, we should ask him, we should seek him, so that he shows us which way to go in our journey of marriage. Then the last one is genuine love. By saying genuine love, I'm being intentional and deliberate. Fake, in Uganda, there are a lot of fake things. You buy a radio, you think it's genuine, but it's fake. You buy a bulb, you think it's real, but it's fake. You buy a piece of cloth, you buy shoes, you think they are genuine, but they are fake. And so we also can have fake love. So that's why I'm saying that we should think about genuine love. And genuine love sustains marriage. There will be no affection, there will be no genuine, there will be, you will not be able to give quality time to your partner if you don't love her or love him genuinely. And so Romans chapter 12 verse 9 says, love must be genuine. So don't just think about love, just think about genuine love. That's when you will be able to value each other. That's when you'll be able to give each other quality time. But also in case you annoy each other or you wrong each other, you'll be able to forgive because of that genuine love. If not, then you say, I have nothing to do with you. That's why we are experiencing lots of divorces or separations, and some of them even don't take time to think about it. And then all of a sudden, they want to come back to each other because they didn't take time to even think about what happened. So may God help us to have genuine love, and that is going to happen if we follow what Jesus Christ said, seek ye first his kingdom and his righteousness, and then the rest shall be added unto you. Because of secularism, we are seeking other things other than seeking God first, his kingdom and his righteousness. So may we come back and turn to God and make him number one in our lives, and then the rest will follow. The rest will make sense to us. May God bless you as you continue to live together in your journey of marriage. Thank you, Uncle Bo.
Thank you, Bishop. Have genuine love, seek God, be innovative, be creative, and shall be able to meet our women's real needs satisfactorily. Ladies and gentlemen, I will invite Reverend Professor John Chitaimba to give a vote of thanks. As he comes on, there has been a humble request. This goes to you, Mr. Dixon, that the same panel should come back now addressing the reverse. How to meet real needs of men by women of their lives. Please consider. Thank you very much. Professor John Chitaimba, you are welcome.